Hi guys, this is going to be your second reading video for the week of January 18th. In the last video, we read the story in your reading booklet called Two Famous Inventors. This week, we're going to be talking about that story and how inventors help by creating different things. If you remember last week, we learned about different types of inventors and inventions. We talked about an engineer, and we asked ourselves the question, where do ideas for inventions come from? In the last video, we read this story, Two Famous Inventors, and we learned about Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver. We talked about making inferences and how that different inventors solve problems when they invent different things. And so their ideas usually come from a problem that they notice or that they see in their environment. And so when they make an invention or they invent new things or improve new things, those things are done because of a problem that people have. Now, our story didn't tell us that. We drew an inference to figure that out. We listened for the clues and the details. We made a decision about what we read, and we thought about why they might be inventing things. And we come up with the idea to solve a problem. Today, we're going to look at the story again, Two Famous Inventors. But today I want to talk about main topic and key details. So if you'll turn in your reading booklet to page 12, we're going to look back at the story, Two Famous Inventors. In this story, we read about Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver. They were our main characters. We also said that this was a nonfiction story because it gives us real facts and information, and it's from our past. I can tell that by looking at the pictures and by reading the title and the captions. I see real people's names, and I notice dates in history, and I noticed real photographs. So those help me to know that this is going to be a nonfiction story with true facts and information. Today, when we look at this story, we're going to be thinking about the main topic and the key details. If you remember us talking about main topic, the main topic or the main idea is the main thing or the most important thing that the author wants us to know or learn from the story. And the details are the things that help tell more about the main topic or the main idea. Normally, I find the main topic at the beginning, either in the first sentence or in the first paragraph. Sometimes the title also helps me to find the main topic. And my details will normally be following the main topic because they help to tell more about what I'm going to be reading about. Today, we're going to look back at this page on page 12 and 13, and I want you to listen as I reread this story and think about the main topic. I'm going to be taking this just a paragraph or two at a time. And as I read, I want you to be thinking about what the author wants us to know, or what is most important, or what the text is mostly about. Okay? Sometimes we can look at the title and the subheadings and the pictures, and they give us an idea about what our topic is going to be. We can also read the text and look for something mentioned at the beginning and throughout the text, and that gives us a clue too. We can also ask ourselves that question, what is this text mostly about? As I look at the title, I can already tell and the pictures what this text is mostly about. What are you thinking? What is this story mostly about? That's right, inventors. And mainly these two inventors. Okay, so we have Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver. And the main topic or the text is mostly about these two famous inventors. Let's read the section about the introduction and see what it says. An inventor is someone who creates something new. An inventor also finds new ways to do things. An inventor works to solve problems. So I already know from my introduction what an inventor is. So when I read my title, Two Famous Inventors, I know that I'm going to be reading about someone who creates something new. Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver were two famous inventors. Their inventions changed the way people live every day. So automatically, I know that I'm going to be focusing on Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver. Okay, I even can tell that there is a subtitle entitled Thomas Edison. So, what is this text mostly about? Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver and their inventions. Okay, there. Let's read about Thomas Edison and see what's important and see if we can find any details that help tell us more about Thomas Edison being an inventor. Okay? It says Thomas Alva Edison loved to read and learn. He also loved to try to make new things. In 1869, he came up with his first big invention. He made improvements to the stock ticker machine used by the stock market. His invention earned him a lot of money. Edison decided to become a full-time inventor. During his lifetime, Edison and his team of workers came up with more than 1,000 inventions. He is best known for inventing the first long-lasting electric light bulb. He also invented the phonograph. The first phonograph made recordings of people talking or singing. He invented the first movie camera, too. When you are up one night watching a movie or listening to music, think about Thomas Edison. So, my main focus for this paragraph is Thomas Edison and him being an inventor. I know that I'm going to be reading that in the story. This story tells me some details, or this page tells me some details about Thomas Edison being an inventor. It says that he loved to read and learn. So that's an important detail that tells me more about his character. It also tells me some things that he did. He made improvements to the stock ticker machine. It also says that he came up with more than 1,000 inventions. There's another detail. It tells me that he invented the first long-lasting electric light bulb. There's a detail. Here's another detail. He made the phonograph. And he invented the first movie camera. All of those details help tell me more about Thomas Edison and the kind of character he is. It tells me at the beginning that Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver were two famous inventors. So I know that my main topic is Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver are inventors. And so I can look at the subtitle for Thomas Edison and read and find details that tell me about him being an inventor. It mentions all the inventions he created. So all of those things are my key details. Him learning to make new things, making improvements to the stock ticker machine, making over 1,000 inventions, creating the first long-lasting electric light bulb, the first phonograph, and the first movie camera. Those are my key details. Let's turn the page and look at George Washington Carver. And so this is my second character, and it told me in the beginning that he also was a famous inventor. So I'm going to be looking for key details that tell me more about George Washington Carver being a famous inventor. Let's read. George Washington Carver was born as an enslaved person in Missouri. Slavery ended a year later. As a boy, he loved to learn about plants. He went to college to study plants. Carver was the first black student at Ohio State Agricultural College. After college, Carver became a teacher. He taught students and farmers about plants. Most farmers in the southern United States grew cotton. Carver foresaw opportunities for farmers. He wanted them to grow other plants as well. He knew that would help farmers make more money. He knew it would be good for the soil too. Carver taught farmers how to grow plants. He taught them how to grow sweet potato plants too. He invented hundreds of new ways to use peanuts and sweet potatoes. Because of Carver, farmers had better lives, and everyone benefited from his inventions. All right, now let's go back and think about our main topic. Our main topic was two famous inventors, George Washington Carver and Thomas Edison. Okay, and so we looked at Thomas Edison and we talked about the key details that told more about him being a famous inventor. Now let's look at George Washington Carver and let's think about the key details that tell more about him being a famous inventor. The first thing that I noticed is that he went to college and became then he became a teacher. Let's keep reading to see if we find a sentence about inventors. Okay, it tells us that he learned a lot about plants and farming. It also tells us that he taught farmers how to grow these peanut plants. And it tells that he invented hundreds of new ways to use peanuts and sweet potatoes. So not only did he teach farmers how to grow plants and how to be a good farmer and how to best use the soil, but he also invented different products using the plants that he grew. So George Washington Carver created better lives for farmers. He created new ways to use peanuts and sweet potatoes. So that is how he was a famous inventor. If you notice, there's a picture of, looks like a laboratory where they're inventing different or working on different inventions. And here's a picture of the field, the cotton field, where they're out picking cotton. George Washington Carver and Thomas Edison were two famous inventors. Our main topic told us that they were important inventors and they created many inventions. If we look right here, it says that their inventions changed the way people live every day. So I can find details in my story that help tell me more about Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver being inventors and changing the way people live. So we found the details over here that tell about Thomas Edison and the things that he invented. Those were our key details. It also tells about how he changed some things that people do and live. As we looked at George Washington Carver, we also looked at how he changed the way people work and live because we come up with different ways that they could use plants and he come up with different ways that they could use the products from those plants, peanuts and sweet potatoes. He came up with inventions that changed people's lives, but he also taught them how to grow crops in a more sufficient way. So these two men were very important to our history. So when we find the main topic, we're looking for what the text is mostly about. And remember, it's usually found at the beginning of the story. Then I look for my key details. My key details are the sentences that follow the main topic that help explain more about my main topic. Remember, we can also use the pictures, the title, and the subtitles to help us figure out the main topic and the key details. We'll talk more about this later this week. I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.